Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nani Suraya binti Basruddin Shah and I am a chemical engineer student. So before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce you the title of my speech today, which is The Ways of Raising Awareness Regarding on Nuclear Reactor Disaster. So I would like to show you a short teaser for my content for today. Okay, I would like to show you a video regarding on Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor, but suddenly there is a technical issue, so it's okay. So the view here is the incidents that happened before, and it is accordingly towards the years. So first would be the 3 Mile Island incidents, which is happened on 1979, and this is one of the earliest incidents in the world. And you can see that the reactor here is partially meltdown, literally meltdown here. And the second incident would be the Chernobyl incident, which is the most famous case one. And the last one would be the Fukushima Daiichi incident, which happened on 2011 in Japan. So as chemical engineering students, we should know that we are the one who need to handle those kind of reactors. So you can see that this is a very terrible incident, right? So as the authorities have done to take the initiatives to prevent, so we need to apply and we need to make it reality on the initiatives so that we can prevent the incidents from becoming again, and also to create a safer environment for work. So for my speech today, I would like to show you 3 ways on raising awareness regarding the nuclear disaster, which is first, Sendai framework DRR or disaster risk reduction. The second would be nuclear emergency preparedness and post-emergency management programs, and also the introduction of DRM syllabus in engineering courses. Okay, so the first point would be the Sendai framework disaster risk reduction. So this was the 3rd World Conference held at Japan, Sendai, on 18 March of 2015, which is 4 years after the incidents of Fukushima happened. So that 187 of UN members endorsed this, including Malaysia itself, and this is to increase the international cooperation in science and technology. This is to reduce the loss of life, livelihood, health, and also to optimize the using of science in decision making in our life. And also this World Conference is a symbol of the United Nations all over the world to create a safer environment of nuclear plant. So these are the 7 global targets that were endorsed during the World Conference, and I would like to highlight on the availability and access to multi-hazard early warning, because this is the one that I would like to be as a supportive information for my presentation for today. Okay, so next we move on to the second point, which is the nuclear emergency preparedness and post-emergency management programs. So the programs are to build and to show you that what is the importance of the controlling and mitigating the nuclear after effect. So that the first would be the INEX 2000, which is International Nuclear Emergency Exercise. This was held by Nuclear Energy Agency and also French government in 2000, and this is the first workshop that was done by the authorities regarding on the public awareness on nuclear disaster. So this INEX was about nuclear topics or nuclear damage topics, and also mechanism on compensate the victims. And United States also have initiated the National Atmospheric Release Advisory Center, NREC, at Livermore, US. This center is to provide service and tools regarding on to predict the probable hazardous material spreading in the air, so that we can know the concentration and we can have further actions regarding on that spreading hazardous gas. So the last topic of the day would be the introduction of disaster risk management syllabus, or also called DRM. So what is DRM? DRM is a set of strategic activities toward hazard identification, risk analysis, assessment. So why do we need to know all of this? Because we need to train the team of engineers to perform effective and efficient risk disaster activities. This is because we want to make the engineers to handle the the reactors and also handle the emergency cases in a safest way so that we can reduce loss in terms of life and property. Okay, so I would like to recap my main points as the conclusion for today, which is first, Sendai Framework DRR, second, nuclear emergency preparedness and post-emergency programs, and also introduction of disaster syllabus. So why do we need to know all of this? Because the authorities have taken the initiative, so who else will going to make it reality instead of us? So if we not do this, we cannot make sure that we have a safer environment for nuclear field in the world, so that it cannot be proceed again. So there is such a waste, and actually we can make it fully efficient in the future. So you can take a look at this picture. This is one of the girls in Japan after the incidents, and you can see that how much suffer that she has endured after the incident. So to end of my presentation, I would like to show you a quote. Crying is useless. If we're in hell now, all we can do is to crawl up towards heaven by the victims of Fukushima. So let's get together and bring a safer world of nuclear plant or nuclear reactor field in the world. So I would open up the floor for the Q&A session. Yes.
May I know how can we adapt the Sendai framework in Malaysia?
Okay, actually Malaysia doesn't have any reactor plant since government doesn't want to make it in real life. But we can know that Malaysia has a lot of refinery center, like in Malacca and Kerteh, and also in majorly like what Petronas has take over here. So in that plant, we have to handle a lot of reactors that is dangerous, and we have to apply the Sendai framework, the global targets that I've shown you before, so that we can make a better SOP in the plant. Did I answer your question?
Right, so I just want to know, the latest incident that happened regarding the nuclear breakdown is the Fukushima Daiichi incident, right? So I just want to know, how did the authorities in Japan at that time handle that kind of incident?
From base what I have known, the Japan would firstly they would evacuate first the victims and give them treatments, and also in the further action they would, if I'm not mistaken, they would analysis back on the cases, and the Sendai framework was the outcome of the analysis. So, yes. Any more question? So that I end my presentation for today. Thank you for listening to this.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning. I bid to Dr. Harizila, fellow organizer and fellow audience. I am Amir Azhar, and today I will be presenting about the importance of special process in chemical industry. Did you know the special process is very important in chemical industry? As you can see, for a single chemical process, we need 4 fraction units in order to achieve the desired product. How about with this big chemical plant that involve many chemical process? Can you imagine how many special units that needed in this chemical plant? So it shows that special process is important in this chemical industry. So what is separation process? Separation process is a process that convert a mixture of chemical substance into 2 or more individual products. There are a few methods that mainly used in industries such as distillation, evaporation, and liquid extraction. This topic is very important because we, as a future chemical engineer, we need to know how to apply the special process knowledge that in order to design process to meet the industrial market demand. As chemical engineering student that currently taking separation process subject, I'm sure that I can give the right information about this topic. So today I will share with you 3 important of separation process in chemical industry, which can obtain pure substance from the mixture, can remove the impurities, and can produce more valuable product. So the first point is can obtain pure substance from its mixture. Mixture is a combination of 2 or more substance. This substance is combining each other naturally, but sometimes the individual pure substance is more important compared to its mixture. So we need to separate the mixture from we need to separate the individual pure substance from its mixture. For example, is seawater. Seawater is a mixture of salt and water. We cannot simply drink the seawater because it can cause dehydration. So we need to spread the seawater into salt and water by using the distillation and evaporation process. So by this process we can get the water that can be drink and used as daily usage, and the salt can be used in food manufacturing. So it is important. So we can see that the separation process is very important in order to obtain the pure substance from its mixture. Moving to the next point is can remove the impurities. In every chemical reaction, they will have impurities in the product. The impurities consists of unconverted reactant and also undesired product. The byproduct from the reaction. It is because not all chemical reaction can achieve 100% conversion. So there will be some reactant that will be in the product. So in order to get the pure product, the desired product must go through the separation process. It is because the desired product must need to achieve the quality standard that have set by the industry. So the pure desired product can be ready to be used for another process or can be sold. So for that, for example, is in nitric acid production. After the synthesis reaction, the product will be the nitric acid. But in the nitric acid, there will be some impurities, which is the nitrogen oxide. So the product will undergo the purification method to remove the impurities. So the water as the solvent absorbent will enter the absorption tower to remove the nitrogen oxide from the nitric acid. So we will get the pure nitric acid. So from that we can see that the separation process is very important in order to remove the impurities. So my next point is can produce more valuable product. By separation process, we can convert the raw material into various type of product. It because in the raw material there are some composition that is full that we need to extract out from the raw material. The separation process is important to enrich the value, the raw material value, and to commercialize the product. For example is oil palm. Do you know what is palm fruit?
Yes.
For your information, the cooking oil that we use for food is used for the cooking oil that we use for food is come from the palm fruit. By leaching process, we extract the oil palm from the palm fruit. So the crude oil palm we can use for cooking oil, for making soap and other food production. If this crude palm oil undergoes further separation process, we can extract the vitamin E. It is because palm oil is the main source of vitamin E. So by liquid extraction process, we can extract the vitamin E from the palm oil. So vitamin E is good for our health because it acts as an anti-oxidation agent. So we can see that by using the separation process, we can produce more valuable product. So to sum up my presentation today, there are 3 important of separation process that we need to know, which is can obtain pure substance from mixture, can remove the impurities, and also can produce more valuable product. So I hope we as a future chemical engineer I hope we can apply all our knowledge throughout these chemical engineering studies in order to design new process in order to produce more useful product in the future. That's all from me. Thank you. Okay, now I open the floor for Q&A.
Question from me. You see that separation process is important for the industry, right? So how does the industry make sure that the separation process that they have done is maintained in a good quality? I mean the efficiency of the process.
Because thank you for the question. The question is how we need to know after the separation process the quality is after the process the product is quality. It's because the chemical engineer have designed the process in order to achieve the desirable quality that the industrial market need. So after the product go through the separation process, so the product will have the standard quality that we need. Other question?
May I know what is the difference between purification and separation process?
Okay, thank you for the question. The question is what is different between separation process and purification process? Purification process is one of the separation process, but the purification process is focused more to remove the impurities from the product.
For the separation process, like just what you mentioned about, as a chemical engineer, we need to design a process, right, to separate impurities from the substance, right? So, do we need also to consider the operation condition, like the technical part inside the reactor, inside the separator, distillation column, for example? So do we also need to design a distillation column in detail? Yeah.
Thank you for the question, but I cannot answer the question because it outside from my presentation. Sorry. So another question? Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Good morning everyone, thank you for having me. My name is Ghayathri and I'm from CE3. So today I'm going to present an interesting topic. So before I begin my presentation, let me show you one short video clip. So, as you all can see from the video clip, we can say that the rate of consumption of fossil fuel is increasing day by day. So, at current, the rate of production of oil will run out in 53 years, natural gas in 54 years, and the coal in 110 years. So, the question is, what will be the better alternative to substitute the fossil fuel? So, my answer is, producing biodiesel will be a good alternative for substituting fossil fuel. So I chose this topic because it may give a positive impact to you all to substitute the fossil fuel to biodiesel. So before I talk about the benefits of biodiesel production, let me recap what is biodiesel production. So biodiesel production is a form of diesel fuel which is derived from the recycled cooking oil and recycled oil and fats. So the process used to convert these oils to biodiesel is called as transesterification. So my main 3 points for the benefits of biodiesel production is cost benefit, economic development, and reduce greenhouse gas emission. So the first is cost benefit. As for now, biodiesel costs the same in the market as the fossil fuel does. However, the overall cost benefit of using biodiesel is much higher than fossil fuel. So this is because biodiesel are very adaptable to current engine design and perform very well in most conditions. So this keep the engines for so long and it will require less maintenance. By this, it will bring down overall pollution check costs. With the increase of demand biodiesel production, potential of becoming cheaper in the future. So my next point is economic development. Increasing the investment of biodiesel production will result in boost of growth in the economy. By this, there will be more jobs for graduates and it is also a new source of income for farmers in the industry. Developing countries will benefit from the economic growth in the demand for world energy. So my last point is reduce greenhouse gas emission. Biodiesel will produce a significant amount of greenhouse gas emission that is currently produced from the fossil fuel. So the study says it will reduce the greenhouse gas emission up to 65%. Biodiesel also will reduce the emission of carcinogenic compound as high to 85%. As a conclusion, I would like to recap all my 3 main benefits of biodiesel production. So the first is cost benefit, second is economic development, and the third is reduce of greenhouse gas emission. So I hope this will give a positive impact to you all for substituting fossil fuel to biodiesel. So thank you. That's all from my presentation. Now I open to Q&A question.
Do we need special storage facilities for biodiesel?
My answer is no, because it will have a same facility storage for the biodiesel and fossil fuel. It's just the fossil fuel should be like stored in clean, dry and dark environment as the fossil fuel, and the tank should be made from aluminium or steel.
May I know, have you started use this biodiesel in Malaysia?
Not so far they using this biodiesel production in Malaysia. But in US, UK, they are using 50% of people are using the biodiesel production in their daily life.
Is there any different efficiency between biodiesel fuel and fossil fuels in terms of when we use it as a fuel for transportation?
I can say the efficiency of biodiesel production will be high from the fossil fuel because it is like more. It has a more efficient how to say that? It's a very high efficiency from the biodiesel to fossil fuel.
Okay, so from your third point, you said that the benefit of biodiesel is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, right? So I just want to know, greenhouse gas emission have many types of gas such as CFC, CO2, SO2, and so on. So I just want to know, is the biodiesel can reduce all of those types of gases or just several types of gases?
As I studied from the survey they did or the article they did, they told that it will eliminate the sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and chloride like more than fossil fuels does. It will eliminate the thing. So I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for MC's today presentation. I am Nur Fatihah from CH3, and today I will share with you a topic on inventions by chemical engineers. So before I introduce my main points, let me share with you a quote from Dr. David Brown, the former Chief Executive Officer of HEB. He said that chemical engineering is a remarkable profession. It can take the smallest of discoveries in laboratories from all fields of science and technologies and replicate them on a mass scale, consistently and economically. So this enlightened my purpose of today's topic, which is to broaden our views on chemical engineer contribution to the industries and also show that capability of chemical engineers in introducing new development in various fields. So I had done many review of journal and articles to prepare the presentation and hope that new and interesting information will be shared today. So introducing my main points for today, the first inventions are vacuum pen evaporator by Charles Edward Howard and Norbert Riedels. Second is PET polyethylene terephthalate bottle by Nathaniel Wyatt, and the third one is sticky notes from Spencer Silver and Arthur Pratt. So vacuum pen evaporator is basically introduced for sugar processing industries. Previous use process is ghayathri, which was a slow and dangerous process that involved labor work. So to overcome that, Howard had patented a design of vacuum pen with ancillary equipment with multiple system of filter units to replace the previous ghayathri. In his evaporator process, he explained that relationship between pressure and boiling point, which reduce process temperature to avoid caramelization and burning. Then, in 1843, an improved design of previous evaporator by Norbert Riedels, which is triple effect evaporator. In this triple effect evaporator, the concept used reducing atmospheric pressure above a liquid lowers its boiling point. The atmospheric pressure is reduced by creating a partial vacuum above the can juice through the use of pumps. Another concept used are using thermodynamic concept, which is energy cannot be destroyed. So the latent heat of vaporization produced in first steam generator or first evaporator was used in second evaporator, and from the second one is used in third evaporator. With the understanding of reducing pressure will lower the boiling point. Eventually, the second evaporator will require less heat to operate, and lesser heat was needed in the evaporator system. Second point is PET bottle by Nathaniel Wyatt. PET or polyethylene terephthalate is a polymer that is formed by combining before that, allow me to show this. Polyethylene terephthalate is a polymer that is formed by combining modified ethylene glycol and purified terephthalic acid. It is an inexpensive, lightweight, resealable, shatter-resistant, and recyclable material. So in 1960s, there was a problem that arose, which is the problem in storing carbonated drinks using plastic bottles. Wyatt, a field engineer from DuPont company, started to test the storing of carbonated drinks by filling the detergent water with ginger ale and leave it overnight. But the first test was not working because of the high pressure. Then he used a stretching techniques that was familiarized in strengthening nylon fiber to experiment it with cold stretching plastic modules. The strength of plastic increases when it is stretched, but to restore carbonated drink, the bottle needs to be strong in every direction at one time. He then extruded the plastic with a crisscross flow line that reinforced themselves and formed a uniformly strong bottle, which is PET bottle. Around 10,000 attempts were estimated to be taken by Wyatt in achieving the goals. Today, recyclable PET bottle is widely used in production of fiber for polyester carpet, fabric for shoes, clothes, luggage, and also used in food packaging. The third and last point is sticky notes, which was introduced by Silver Spencer and Arthur Fry. For your information, Silver Spencer and Arthur Fry were both parts of 3M company, which is a company that promote innovation in its workers. So Silver was originally tasked to develop stronger acrylate copolymer-based adhesive for aerospace industry. In formulating the new adhesive layer, an excess amount of the chemical reactant was added to encourage polymerizing of molecules. Within time, the microsphere that were formed stopped the adhesive from bonding firmly, allowing an unusual combination of high-tech with low pH adhesion. But this new bonding cannot be applied in the main task of Silver Spencer, which is to introduce stronger adhesion for aerospace industry. So he was resigned to another project. Years after, Fry was inspired by this unique adhesion level in finding the solution for his problem, which is a slippery bookmark. He realized that if the microsphere was spread apart, they will be less sticky, and he should find the spacing of the microsphere that will be perfect for the paper. Next, he obtained a sample, tried the idea, and got a rewarding result. The new bookmark stuck, but could be removed without damaging the paper. Nowadays, the same level of adhesion used is also being applied in medical bandages and interior decorating. So to recap my points, today are 3 inventions in 3 different industries, which are vacuum pen evaporator, PET bottle, and sticky notes. Taking back the quotes from David Brown earlier that I shared, I can safely say that chemical engineering do help in problem solving from the smallest discovery. So with that, I hope that our class will explore more on chemical engineering knowledge, and in the future, hopefully we can able to contribute to the society and also industry. So before we go to Q&A question, you can scan the QR code to know more about the innovation of other chemical engineers.
Alright, so we all know that chemical engineer is someone that can create things and they commercialize it on the mass scale. Alright, so the second invention that you have introduced to us is the PET bottle, right?
Yes.
So we all know right now that PET bottles are lowly good for nature. So I just want to know, is the invention that the man had created is on the good side or not?
Okay, thank you. This will be first and last question that I will answer. So your question is whether the men's innovations are good or not. So it's not mainly on the nature, but can be on other perspective as well. Okay. So from my perspective, men's innovation do create good and bad effects. So in this slide, my purpose was mainly to introduce the innovation that creates new changes in the industry and brings new development to the industry. And also, this all is our life. And also, for example, okay, you give PET bottle, right? PET bottle is introduced to replace the glass bottle. Glass bottle are more weight than plastic, but PET bottle also is thermostability and also a strong plastic bottle. Also PET is recyclable, so it can be used in fabric production, just what I had showed.
Did you know Malaysia recently enforced the compulsory use of biodegradable plastic? But the question is, what are biodegradable plastics? Does it really live up to its name, degradable? So, my name is Petrine, and today I will be presenting breaking down bioplastic. The reason why I choose this topic is because I have done research and experiment regarding bio-based products, and this is my team and I innovation, where we created a bio-based pot made out of biomaterials to replace the usage of single-use polybags. The purpose of my presentation today is to provide information that not all bioplastics are degradable, and their decomposition varies according to few factors, which brings me to my thesis statement, where to align with Malaysia's effort in going for zero single-use plastic by the year 2030, bioplastics have become more famous. However, these plastics degrades more faster compared to normal petroleum-based plastics, and these factors are that depends on their physicochemical properties, humidity and temperature, and also the presence of microbes and sun. So before going into my first main point, let us get to know what is bioplastic. So bioplastics is actually plastics that falls in the family of plastics, but they are either biodegradable, bio-based in origin, or even both. If we want to categorize bioplastics as biodegradable, it has to be easily metabolized by microbes to produce these three substances, which are water, carbon dioxide, and biomass. But when we talk about bioplastics, it's actually a very wide word, because when we talk about bioplastics, it can be categorized into three categories basically, which are biodegradable, degradable, and compostable. Biodegradable actually means the plastic can be broken down completely. Meanwhile, when we talk about degradable plastics, it can only be broken down into smaller fragments. And lastly, for compostable, it can biodegrade in a compost site. So there's like two major types of bioplastics, which are starch-based or aliphatic polyesters. However, in my presentation today, I will only be focusing on aliphatic polyesters, which are polylactic acid, in other words, PLA. So, going to my first point, which is the physicochemical properties of PLA, is one of the factors that affect the rate of disintegration of bioplastics. This PLA is typically made from the sugars in the cornstarch, cassava, or sugarcane. This starch comprises of long chains of carbon molecules, which is similar to the carbon chain that we can find in conventional petroleum-based plastics. However, to make this PLA more durable, we add acid to form a long-chain polymer, which is actually a large molecule consisting of similar repeating units. And that is actually the basic building block for plastic. Coming to my second point, PLA takes longer time to degrade in room temperature and pressure because it requires higher temperature where we cannot obtain through sunlight. And if you think sunlight helps in disintegrate bioplastics, it actually doesn't. It actually does not. However, the UV light that comes with it only causes the material to lose its color and go pale. But in time, with the continuous exposure of UV light, it breaks the bond of the carbon molecules, as I stated earlier. And relatively, bioplastics or PLA disintegrates at 60 degrees Celsius and it does not dissolve in water. So that means if you throw PLA into the marine, into the sea, it will not biodegrade because it does not dissolve in water. However, when we put it deep inside the soil, it can disintegrate a bit. So when we talk about soil, we know that there are microbes that exist inside the soil. So this can aid the decomposition of bioplastics. However, the enzymes that supposedly to attack PLA is not available in our environment. These enzymes that I talk about is actually proteinase K, which will catalyze the hydrolytic degradation of PLA. When we bury PLA deep in the soil, we can only see the degradation signs after 6 months. And after 15 months, as you can see, it will only break into smaller fragments. So it doesn't really break down into its constituent raw materials. this figure shows how compostable bag and oxo-degradable bag can be broken down into its constituent product. So for PLA, it falls in between compostable bag and oxo-degradable bag because under certain unfavorable condition, it will be broken down completely. However, most of the time, they don't really have the conditions that they need to be broken down. Hence, it falls under oxo-degradable bag. And to conclude my presentation today, I would like to state that bioplastics are not biodegradable. However, all plastics are degradable. So I would like to urge everyone to dispose their plastics accordingly to their way of disposal, as it doesn't mean it has the word biodegradable. That means it can biodegrade anywhere you put. So these are just my reference, and with that I end my presentation. Thank you. I would like to open the floor for Q&A.
Alright, so I don't know. You have stated that some of the microbe that can degrade the plastic is like protein A, right?
Yes.
So I just want to know, is there any other microbe that can degrade the bioplastic?
Typically for PLA, there's only one type of enzyme that could break down. That's why the disintegration is not really 100%. It cannot be decomposed 100%, and it will only break down into smaller fragments due to the absence of this enzyme.
Okay, my question is to decompose the all kinds of bioplastic. Can we just throw it into fire? Is it safe?
Actually bioplastics, they have like different groups, but for PLA, yes, you can throw into fire to decompose it because it requires higher temperature. However, it is usually done in a compost site, so you can retrieve back all the nutrients from the plastics. Okay, that is all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soowei, and before I introduce my topic today, I would like to ask a question. How much of waste do you produce or throw in a day? Many? So never count, right? So, okay. Actually, I have think that Malaysian technology in waste disposal is not really efficient. So it's very important for us to learn other country technology, for example, Japan technology. So my topic today is how Japan overcome the issue in waste disposal. So previously, I have done the research about the Japan recycling system, and this project is during my foundation time, and this is one of the example in my project. This machine called whiteboard machine, and this machine is able to turn paper into toilet paper and widely use it office and also school area. So back to our topic, in Japan, there are 651 tons of waste is being generated per day in Tokyo nowadays. So with their efficient waste disposal technology, they're able to handle this huge amount of waste and also can able to overcome the issue in waste disposal. For instance, they can reduce pollution during the incineration process and also improve the electricity generation efficiency. And the last one is turn waste into useful products. So let's move to the first point. Waste can be divided into two categories, which is combustible and also incombustible waste. Combustible waste is straight sent to the waste incineration plant for the the burning process under 800 degrees Celsius to ensure it is reduced, to ensure the volume is reduced to 90%. However, it produces dioxin, large amount of dioxin gas, which harm the environment and also the human health. So, in order to overcome this issue in Japan, Japan has came out with 3 technologies. So the first one is complete combustion technology, which is can reduce the dioxin emission to virtually zero. And the second one is exhaust gas cooling technology to prevent the resynthesis of the dioxin gas in the incinerator. And the last one is dust correction technology, is to prevent the dioxin gas escaping from the incinerator. So with this technology, the issue has been reduced of 98% from 1997 to 2003 in Japan. So let us move to the e-waste. E-waste is actually contain lead, copper, flame retardants, and also other harmful substances. And it will cause the soil pollution if we dispose it to the landfill without any treatments. So Japan has found that this e-waste is actually full of recyclable material, and the most suitable management is to recycling the variable resources that found in this e-waste. So this is the example that found in the e-waste. So first, the e-waste is breaking down and sorting out the recyclable parts by using the magnet, and after that is transport to the crushing process by machines. So let us move to the second one, is to improve the electricity generation efficiency. So during the incineration process, the thermal energy will produce and goes to the steam turbine generator for the electricity generations. So this to utilize the electricity, it has been supplied to the entire waste incineration plant, and also for the water heating process, which is required for the tropical plant greenhouses. And this photo is show the Toshima tropical plant greenhouses in Japan. So after that, the remaining of the electricity will be sold to the power company as a source of income in Japan. And approximately of 9.8 billion yen is from selling electricity. So move to the last point, ash. After the incineration process, ash will be left over in the incinerator. So Japan has invented a new technology, is to turn the ash into the artificial aggregate, for example the eco cement. So how the ash is turned into is because Japan has come out with the technology is to heat the ash between the 820 degrees Celsius to 1400 degrees Celsius, and to ensure it is melt completely and turn it into eco cement. And this paving block is actually made by the eco cement and is widely used in Japan, most of the building in Japan. So the last one is food waste. Food waste can generate methane gas and also the hydrogen sulfide if we bury it without treatment to the landfill sites. So this food waste is actually considered as a combustible waste, but because of it requires some material to assist with the incineration process, so combustion process is not favorable for food waste. So that's why more and more companies in Japan has actively utilized the biomass by turning it into a fertilizer, feed, and also using it for methane fermentation. And there are 2 actions has been done by Japan. The first one is in Hida City Oita preference, they collect all of the kitchen waste from the house and also the sludge from the effluent treatment facility and transport it to the fermentation facility, and to able to generate the electricity and also manufacture the liquid fertilizer and also the compost for the animal. The second action is this tempura and deep fried foods is very famous in Japan, especially in sushi restaurant. So they found that the oil that contained in these both foods is actually can be converted into fuel and using it for the city operated bus and also the garbage trucks. So after knowing about the waste management in Japan, let's look about this statistic. In Malaysia, there are 80% of waste is being disposed to the landfill site and only 5% is for recycle. So imagine that today is 2020, is 18 years ago. The population is increasing, the waste also increasing, but the landfill is not increasing. So after a few years, we can think about the landfill will be used up and also have no place for us to dispose the waste, especially for incombustible waste. So we as a chemical engineering student, we must overcome the challenges that faced by Malaysian in waste management field and to achieve the SDG goal. Besides that, other than the chemical engineering, we also a local resident in Malaysia. So please remember this slogan: if it's mixed, it's waste. If it's total, it's a resource. We must raise up the recycle awareness and also promote the eco bag to our society to make the world become a better world. Thank you. So I open up the question and answer session.
Okay, so for food waste, you said that the sludge can generate electricity. Would you explain more on that?
Thank you for your question. Actually, I have been trying my best to find the technology, but it is not applicable in the Google. So we have to find from the research or the journal like that, in maybe in EPP, I believe. Okay, thank you.
Is there other countries that are professional in waste management?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, US is very after Japan. Second one is the US. They got a lot of advanced technology in waste management, but it's totally different area from compared to the Japan. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for paying attention on my presentation.
A very good afternoon, I bid to my fellow audience and Mr. Hairisa and Madam Hairisa, although she's not here with us today. I, Irdina will be presenting on the topic of the journey of recycled plastic bottles. These days, people always have something to say about recycling, whether it's recycling of plastic, recycling of waste materials, recycling of polymer, and even recycling of paper. But the big question is, do they even know what is recycling, and do they actually do recycling? Well, in my opinion, generally, recycling is basically a process of converting waste materials into new materials and objects. And it is also an alternative to conventional waste disposal that can save material and help lower greenhouse gas emissions. Well, here, I'm holding a plastic bottle. But what happens to this plastic bottle if I toss it into the bin? Will it just stay as it is, or will it transform into a new product? If it transforms into a new product, then what are the stages? What are the processes? Well, as everybody know, that plastic bottle makes life so much easier. It is lightweight, it's easy to hold, but it's also so strong and hard to break. A plastic bottle is also the best way to contain and carry many kinds of liquids such as water, oil, and even soft drinks. there was this one time where I went to laundry and I saw this girl, she brought this one plastic bottle with softener stored inside it. And I think it's very convenient for you to just bring your plastic bottle with the detergent instead of bringing the bottle of the detergent itself. Okay, so before I begin my presentation deeper, as a chemical engineer student, I think that this recycling is actually very important to maintain the sustainability of the earth. And the chemical engineers make recycling more possible. So I begin with my main points. So these are the main points of my topic, which is the journal of recycled plastic bottles, which is sorting, cleaning, shredding, and extruding. First and foremost, these plastic bottles are thrown into the recycling bin, and then they are collected from houses, businesses, and other sites. Some people, they also make money from it. What they do is, they bring the bags of plastic bottles, and then they bring it to the recycling center or any bottle depots, and they get a full payment of it. And then these plastic bottles are also sorted and separated according to its type. As you know, the plastic have so many types, such as polyethylene terephthalates, as Fatihah mentioned earlier, high density polyethylene, PVC, and LDPE, propylene, polystyrene, and also styrofoam. Next, moving on to my next point, which is washing. Just like you wash your clothes, water bottles also go through the process of washing, which the wash process will clean the bottles, remove the labels and contaminants. But on a very serious note, recyclable items that are difficult to process, the recyclable items cannot be processed if they are not cleaned properly. So it is easier for it to reincarnate as something new if the plastic bottle is clean. Next, the plastic bottles also undergo through the process of shredding. The bottles are ground up and shredded into flakes, just like the picture here. And then this will increase the surface area, which makes it easier to process, reshape, and transport if needed. As our friend mentioned earlier, PET and propylene have different density, which the bottle flakes will sink and the cap flakes will float, which makes them separate during the recycling. Well, my final point is extruding. After this shredded plastic and flakes after the plastic bottles are shredded, they are melted down and extruded into small pellets. These pellets can also be used in the production of other plastic products. These pellets are sold to companies to melt them again and make a new product from it. Well, here comes to the conclusion part. To sum up, the life of every plastic bottle doesn't end there in the bin. The journey of the recycled bottle continues, and basically the afterlife of the plastic bottle that you have thrown them into the bin. So this plastic bottle, as I've mentioned earlier, they go through stages by stages in transforming into new products, such as sorting, washing, shredding, and extruding. Although there are many other steps that I might miss out, but these 4 main points are the most important steps in the process of recycling. Well, I think if in the future, if you happen to recycle, then you know what recycling is actually all about and how it really works. Also, before I end my presentation, I would like to tell that the demand for plastic these days is growing. So do your part to help the environment by recycling everything you can. Encourage your friends and family to do the same. Not only you can save the environment, but you can also make money from it. Thank you. Lastly, be part of the solution, not the pollution. Thank you. So I open any questions.
So I'm curious, why are plastic bottles bad for the environment?
Well, the plastic bottles are mostly made from PET because plastics have their own types. So the plastics are made completely from PET plastics, and PET don't biodegrade, they photodegrade. So the fragments from it can absorb toxin, and then it pollutes our waterways.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
you understand? Any questions?
I just want to know what is the advantage of when we recycle the plastic bottle?
The advantage can be you can save energy, and the most obvious is you can reduce the pollution. Any other questions?
And you said that the plastic bottle needs to be cleaned up first before we can recycle it. So can you suggest any other solution for that problem?
During my research, when I did my research, I read through all the articles and websites. I found that I found that all the plastic need to go through the cleaning process. If it's not clean, then it can be processed to form new products, but it will be difficult for it to get a new product. Other questions?
Alright. Good morning to our respected lecturer and my fellow peers in STEM. My name is Brenda. I'm from Chemical Engineering Group 3. Being almost last in turn, I understand that we do not want to talk about a heavy topic, so it's alright. Sit back, relax, and as my topic wouldn't be very heavy. Alright. So, this is a guy, your average chemical engineering student, an aspiring engineer, as most of us are. That is a thermodynamics textbook. The book we all love and know and love. This is the guy studying thermodynamics. It's in moments like these, mid derivations, calculations, or just daydreaming that makes you wonder, why am I choosing this course? Right? Right? Alright. Which brings me to my topic today, contributions of chemical engineering to modern society. The reason I chose this topic is not only to present to you the knowledge that I have obtained throughout this research, but I also like to incite a small feeling of gratefulness in all of you for being given the chance to take chemical engineering. Now, before I begin, I am credible enough to present this topic as I have done ample research using credible sources. Alright, so chemical engineering contributes to modern society in numerous ways. The first one being improving food quality, developing solutions to energy-related problems, and providing a cleaner water source. Let's move on to our first point. Improving food quality. Do you know that chemical engineers are the pioneers of low-fat food? We have low-fat ice cream, low-fat milk, low-fat cheese, we have margarine and mayonnaise, yum. All that good stuff, minus the guilt of consuming too much fat. Well, it's thanks to chemical engineers' research on hydrocolloids in food, or soft solids, which has allowed us to the guilt-free binge sessions that we have today. Now you can safely cry over your heartbreak, eat low-fat ice cream without worrying about gaining weight. Multinational food companies such as Unilever, Kraft Foods, and PepsiCo have adapted this research. In a way, we are combating obesity one low-fat food at a time. Next, on to our second point, chemical engineers have developed solutions to energy-related problems. Have you ever heard of DRAX? Yes? No? No? Alright. So DRAX is a large biomass and coal-fired power station located in Yorkshire, England. So this power station alone contributes to 7% of United Kingdom's electrical source. Now why am I telling you about DRAX? Well, DRAX used to heavily rely on fossil fuels to generate power. But thanks to research done by chemical engineers from the University of Leeds, they have successfully converted the use of biomass. Consequently, this reduces carbon emissions by 12 megatons per year. Now this is big for the United Kingdom. Why? Because this results to an 80% reduction of greenhouse gases compared to coal. This is UK's single largest source of renewable power. This research has not only changed DRAX, but it has also changed the policies and practices in nearly every stage of energy cycle in the entire energy industry. It has single-handedly overcome the technical problems that the industry has faced. Now on to our third point. Chemical engineers have provided a cleaner water source. Millions of people are drinking high concentration of arsenic contaminated water. But let's focus on West Bengal in India, where 10 million people live. People of West Bengal are consuming arsenic contaminated groundwater with concentrations of 5 to 20 times more than the limit set by World Health Organization. This results to 3 million people falling ill due to arsenic-related diseases. Being in the rural area of India, typical methods of water purification, which involves adsorption and membrane separation, is not a viable solution. But thanks to research done by the chemical engineers of non-NGO collaborations, the world's first chemical and waste-free water treatment plant was made. It was installed in the arsenic belt of India. Using items that could be found in local hardware shops, an aquifer, the underground water, was converted into a natural biochemical reactor. The intricacy of the build and the science behind it is too complex for me to explain at the moment due to lack of time, but feel free to contact me if you'd like to know more. To summarize, chemical engineering field has immensely improved food quality, energy problems, and water source. Like King Midas's touch, where everything he touches turns to gold, chemical engineers excel in an array of fields that they participate in. What I am trying to say is, there are so many opportunities for us to contribute to society in the future. Every one of us, you and I, are on a level playing field. We all have equal potential to be innovative engineers. Chemical engineering is a versatile field. There is a place for every passion. So I hope everyone pushes through this difficult semester. Remember that guy? Well, I hope he feels slightly better. Thank you. Now I open the floor for Q&A.
What is the difference between low-fat food and organic food, and which one is healthier in your opinion?
Thank you, Miss, for the question. Let me rephrase her question. She asked, what is the difference between low-fat food and organic, and which one is preferable? I personally feel, before that, let me explain the difference. Well, low-fat food is manufactured. as healthy as it sounds, it contains additives and preservatives. Whereas for organic food, it is grown on land and only uses natural preservatives during the food processing. So I highly recommend everyone to take organic food. But it's not to say that fat is bad. It is suggested that everyone take a maximum amount of 3 grams of saturated fat per day. That's the healthy intake of fat. Thank you for your question.
Since you mentioned about arsenic caused illness,
Yes.
may I know the examples of this arsenic caused illness?
Thank you for your question, kind sir. Alright, so to rephrase his question, he asked what were the arsenic caused illnesses. Alright, so arsenic is some sort of poison, so it's like you are consuming poison. The side effects includes mostly heart-related problems, stroke, breast cancer, respiratory problems, and the like. One way to overcome it is to take, what do you call that? What do you call antidote? No, it's not exactly. Yeah, it's some sort of antidote to purify your body. The sort of medicine used. Yes. Any more questions? Yes.
I just want to know your opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think there is another type of food that the chemical engineer can access? Another other than the 3 that you just said before?
Thank you for your question. But before I answer, I'd just like you to know that since my research was focused on these 3 main fields, my answers might be unsatisfactory, but I will try my best. Chemical engineer, as I said, is a very versatile field. We can go into manufacturing, and manufacturing alone has different types of production. So we could go into technology for one. That's why I hope that answers your question. Yeah. No? Alright, that seems to be it. Thank you for your time and attention.
A long, long time ago in ancient China lived a monster called Nian. This monster usually comes during New Year's Eve to raid villages to eat livestock, crops, and even the villagers because food was scarce during winter. Now, soon after, the villagers realized that loud noises would actually scare away this monster. So what they started to do is they started to burn bamboos, and when the air inside the bamboo is heated up, it would be pressurized and cause the bamboo to burst. Soon after, this practice evolved into a popular practice, especially for entertainment purposes, and it is usually practiced during festive periods. Still wondering what I'm talking about? Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am Deevagar Chandrasekharan, and my presentation today will be about That's right, fireworks. Most of us think that fireworks work purely based on gunpowder and that it is not that complicated. Today, I am here to change that perception and to tell you guys about the various chemical compounds that can be found in a firework. As a chemical engineering student who takes up a lot of interest on the different characteristics of chemicals, and as a person who has read up quite a lot on fireworks, I can say that I have the basic knowledge to talk about this topic here today. Now, my presentation today will cover about the basic elements of a firework, which is the gunpowder, the color producer, and the oxidizer. So let's get to our first main aspect of a firework, which is the gunpowder. Now, as you can see, gunpowder is made of 75% carbon, 15% potassium nitrate, and 10% sulfur. Carbon is basically the primary fuel for the fireworks, and it is obtained from charcoal, which is very easy to get. And then we have the potassium nitrate, which is some sort of a fuel as well, and it's also an oxidizer. Now, oxidizers are the compounds that provide oxygen for combustion to occur, and I will discuss about this later. And then we have sulfur, which is 10% of gunpowder. It plays the role of reducing the temperature required for the gunpowder to start burning. Okay? When these three compounds are mixed together to produce gunpowder, the reaction that happens can be simplified as that. As you can see, potassium nitrate, carbon and sulfur in the presence of heat reacts to produce potassium carbonate, potassium sulfate, carbon dioxide and nitrogen. And this reaction produces 3 megajoule of energy per kilogram of gunpowder used. And this energy is the energy that is used up by the firework to be launched into the air and then to explode. And you can notice that a major part of the product, which is about 50% of the product, is actually gas, which is coming from carbon dioxide and nitrogen. And this gas helps to release, to launch the firework into the air as well. So to sum it up, gunpowder is basically made up of carbon, sulfur, and potassium. Moving on to my next point, which is a rather interesting point, which is the color producer. Now, a firework without color producers would legit just look like an explosion in the air, just flames, that's it. But what scientists did to produce color inside firework is that they started to add salt compounds to the firework. Now, salt compounds, as we all know, salt has a cation and an anion. Like in our table salt, we have sodium chloride. Sodium is the cation and chloride is the anion. So what is being used in fireworks is this. You can see that the metal cation, that is the factor they use to manipulate the color. Strontium produces red, calcium produces orange, sodium yellow, barium green, copper blue, and magnesium and aluminium produce silver when it is hot, and when it is burning, it produces white. Now, you can remember from your high school days that copper 2 sulfate solution is blue in color, and that is because of the presence of copper 2 ions in the solution. The same logic applies here. And you can also notice that purple is actually made up by combining strontium and copper compounds, which shows that it basically works how we mix paint. Okay. And the other part of the salt, which is the cation, the anion, is made up of chloride usually because it brightens the color of the firework. And they also use nitrates because it can be an oxidizer as well. Now, another part of color producer is the sparkles, because fireworks have sparkles. And what they do to produce the sparkle is they actually add iron and steel bits inside the firework itself to produce the sparkles. As you can see in this video right here, when iron is added into the Bunsen burner directly, it produces sparkle. And in China, there's a art called the molten iron firework, where one person throws molten iron into the air and another person hits it to produce a lot of sparkles. Due to time constraint, I did not add it here, but you can look it up if you're interested. So to sum it up, color producers are made up of different salt compounds, and they add steel and iron bits to produce the sparkle. My last point for today will be about the oxidizer. And oxidizers, as the name itself says, it produces oxygen for combustion. As we all know, burning requires oxygen. And if you remember, I did mention that potassium nitrate is an oxidizer, and these are the common compounds that is used for oxidation, which is nitrates, chlorates, and perchlorates. They are used as the anion in the salt compound. Okay. Now, why we need to have an oxidizer is because the gunpowder inside the firework is usually covered with paper and stuff, and there's no way for oxygen to get in. So the oxygen needs to be produced from inside the firework itself. So if you try to light up a firework and then cover it up to cut off the oxygen supply, it will still burn and it will still explode because the oxygen is actually coming from the inside. Okay. Oxidizers also play an important part in producing the whistling effect for fireworks, which is when they are mixed with these aromatic organic compounds, and they are burnt, they produce a wave effect inside the firework, which will come off as fizzling effect. Okay, so that brings my presentation today to an end. In a nutshell, fireworks are made up of the gunpowder, which is the primary fuel source, the color producer, which produces color in the firework and the sparkles, and then the oxidizer, which produces oxygen for the combustion process. So I hope that you now learned about the various chemical compounds that we are presented with in this world, and maybe you can come up with uses for them in the future. So that's all. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I now open the floor for Q&A session. Yes.
So I am interested to know how does the spinner fireworks are produced?
Thank you for that question. So your question is that how spinner fireworks are produced, right? So what they do is inside the firework, like let's assume there's a firework over here. The gunpowder is actually packed inside a small pellet, and it will be placed at the side. So when it explodes, it will produce a rotational movement. It's just like physics. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Anyone else? Yes.
Regarding fireworks, may I know how pop is?
Okay, good question. To restate your question, you asked how the pop firecrackers are made, right? They actually don't use this mechanism. They don't use gunpowder. They are not triggered by combustion, but they are triggered by friction. The compound they use is silver fulminate, I think, and it reacts with friction. That's why if you just snap it, you step on it, you just drop it, it will ignite. So it's just that compound wrapped inside a small tissue paper sort of thing. That's it, simple. Any other questions? Yes.
Right, so the industry of firework consists of many of the fireworks like pop breakers, mature. Right, so I just want to know if the firework industry is a blooming industry or just a small one?
I would say, this is from my personal opinion. I haven't done much research on the industry itself, but from my personal opinion, this technology was actually found very, very early on, like about 1930s maybe. So I would say that we've hit the ceiling of how much fireworks can go to. So I think the industry is at its peak, but I don't see why it would drop, because we don't have a substitute for fireworks or the compounds that is being used inside it for now. So you can expect it to last for a few years. I hope that answers your question. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.